And hello, everybody. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with.
DANK.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Oh, there we go. One moment here. Yeah, Cheesecake was starting to play there from the same intro there. My screens are a little whacked today, so managing them is going to be a little off because for some reason the broadcast software decides to only show a full screen no matter how many frames separate windows I make. I do not know. I'll try and fix it later, but for right now, we'll kind of like hobble along. So how's it going, Tank? You got any good updates for today?
Well, I did ask Kim this morning, and we're approaching the very end of January. We're obviously in the last days here, and I asked her, I'm like, so, are we where you thought we'd be? And she basically said, like, they keep, ebbs and flow, she said. They made this claim that, today it all begins, this is their last claim, and she said she's not even sure what that means yet, So I said to her, I'm like, I think that should mean exactly what it says. I don't know why they're allowed to define these terms. We should, at this point, it should mean funding's available and then we fund. Simple, right? And she's like, I wish. She goes, but she was having to do research, so I'm sure she was going into the system to probably run scenarios, probabilities and stuff like that to see what they either, what has already happened or what the next course of action is. And then interestingly, the Republic with the CK group that I talked to, and they have a pretty good structure around the country, and they have a bank that they were supposed to be setting up, and this bank was supposed to be funded by the military settlements accounts or fund, and I guess at the head of this is some kind of general, and he speaks to the Pentagon, and allegedly they had spoken to Trump, and that was the plan to reinstate this, and they voted last night to copyright, a name, for the Republic, and which seems very, and apparently if they copyrighted the name the right way, they would be allowed to bring this money in. So I ran that by Kim, and about that, and she said that, well, they found out on Friday night, so last night was Saturday, I don't know what day it is, Sunday? Yeah, last night was Sunday. So they found out Friday, or I guess their hierarchy found out Friday that there's no money in those accounts, and everybody knows it. So all the military settlement accounts have no money. So that's not happening, and obviously they'd be funded, it wouldn't be hinged on a copyright. But so I don't know if the hierarchy just hasn't told their members yet, or maybe they just don't believe their own eyes. Or maybe the people that are working for the Pentagon didn't tell them, who it would indicate that maybe they're, misinformed or, not fully in cooperation. Needless to say, obviously, even the things that are working for us are on some level not fully integrated because people just aren't catching on. There's no money anywhere else except inside the trust. And no one has access to it anywhere, no matter what level of authority they are, except for Kim. That includes the general CWR of the, federally regulated tables, right? Who's like a god of some of these people, right? He doesn't have access either. So, I hope they catch on sooner or later. It seems like, after, once you've exhausted every possible fund that you think has money and you keep finding out they don't, that people would start to catch on and really be like, holy cow, there's no money here, right? And what do we do?
Will people catch on? I don't know. They seem to like to bang their head against the wall.
I realize evidence doesn't matter, right? Because, there's all these things that there's very clear evidence of, right? It's like the outbreaks of the measles. Well, all the outbreaks from the measles are all caused by the strand of the measles that comes from the vaccine. So wouldn't it be kind of logical if there's no wild measles outbreak and the only thing that's causing measles outbreaks is the
Right.
vaccine. Would the vaccine be the answer? Well, of course not, right? So, but for some reason, that logic, even though that evidence is available, it's out there, right? Even though it's out there, they still just, people can't wrap their mind around it, right? It's like, no, no, no. So repetition is more important to them than, or to the, as long as they continue to control the media, the repetition of these things apparently supersede any kind of facts, and that's unfortunate, because so I'm I'm not sure what the next step is. I still believe that we're on the cusp of breaking through because I don't see what else can they do? There's no money. I mean, the repeated failures seem like it would wake people up. Like, we keep doing this, it's not working. Maybe we should just go with this one person who actually has been able to do this. You know what I mean? But,
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I have one of my friends here in the Philippines. It's a very learned fella, runs a newspaper, so on, and he's very much on the, because of what Marcos set up, that, the Philippines is the place in which everything will unfold from, and he can point to all the, all the documents and all the people that were there to do this. And so anyway, but I'm trying to go over, I said, where the things are right now, right? And he wants to interrupt me every 30 seconds about, but it's like this instead. No, it's like so. And then he was at one point starting to work with the Kingdom of Manna, and so I kind of updated him on that, and I think he stopped, working with him on that. But they're all looking for this way for it all to happen. It all comes down to all the stories seem to have it happen out of Mindanao area, right? And so it's very difficult, because everyone has their impressions of how things are, right? And just going over things, and he knows about Marduk, right? We never had any issue about understanding that, and that this is, but he was surprised, and I've said this to him before, but I guess it didn't really sink in that Kim had taken out Marduk, right?
Right.
And then when I go. And she said, "Well, how is it that it's her? It's going to be a Filipino that has the right genetics, right?" And I say, "Well, it went by Project Looking Glass and facial recognition software to get to the point to find who it was."
And a genetic anomaly that only happens every 2,000 years.
Yeah, unless you're Filipino.
Just that evidence.
But the Queen of Sheba is from Cebu here in the Philippines, and of course that because that's how it came back through King Solomon, all this asset, right, and stored here.
Right.
So anyway,
who knows what's real? History, it's one of the things that to me is just a tragedy in many ways. That so much of our history, you just have no idea what's real anymore.
Right. I mean, there could be someone could have written up a whole storyline and everything else along the lines, and it would have been kept.
I've talked to so many people. You wouldn't believe. I have so much original paperwork. It was obviously signed by very important people. Photographs, the signing. I have tons of it. I must have 30 or more, maybe 40 of these really significant documents, trust documents, the White Spirit Boy Trust, the Alpha Omega Trust, all these I have incredible documents that people have given me, over the years, to prove and validate. They are passports included, everything that you would need to validate. And I can tell you not one of them is real. They're all real documents, but whoever turned over authority didn't have the authority.
Right.
So.
Right. So that's what so there's this whole morass of paperwork and stuff. So, yeah, it's I was watching one of these, kind of like Discovery Channel type of videos. It wasn't from Discovery Channel, but that kind of video. Just I think it was 2 days ago, and they were talking about how the flood happened, right? The Noah's flood, right? And from where,
Right.
and this, and how it came from beneath the earth, right? That the waters came from underneath, and that big crack that's in the planet, in the middle of the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and how that kind of like encircles it, is where it came up from, right? And then they described how this created, and what it sounded like to me was a mud flood. I don't know if it's the same mud flood, but because they were talking about how the layers of that got all intertwined and mixed up, and then it sedimented out, and this is what it would look like, right? And then, so anyway, I said, so yeah, it's like all the history. I don't know which is really which, and when it actually happened. Also another interesting thing. Trey Smith has a new video out too, and I like his work, and very Christian related work. But he originally, I found his stuff about his whole program is called God in a Nutshell, right? And
Yeah.
but this is really about the pre-flood time frames, and about Noah, and about his sons, and Ham, and the curse that went down, and really about how all of the different lineage were coming from that point, and talking about those things. So there's I take all of his stuff and I say, great, I like his work, right? But then it comes up with other things that'll come up about this. Is this more correct, or is that more correct? I don't know. But I'm gonna kind of keep an open mind toward it, and even the things that that are the most other than the belief that there is a God. Anything after that is kind of like
Right.
in the gray area.
Well, I mean, if you listen to anybody who talks about the Syrian version of the scriptures, right, which is virtually identical, and they use the Aramaic or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Interpretation. It says, "I am Enki," right? Instead of "I am your Lord, I am your God, thy Lord."
Did you get that video I sent to you?
Oh yeah, that's where I got it from. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So he breaks it down really well, right? And it's kind of like, it's kind of very much more cooler.
To be honest, it backs up what It's funny. I talked to an individual who seems very connected, and I broke down all these things that I've never heard anybody talk about exactly the same way that I do, and I'm not to make anything myself. I've never heard anybody do it. Mm-hmm. And I broke it down. I said, well, this is what I saw, and personally, like I don't have any. I have scriptures that I can back it up with, but nothing that really, I've never heard anybody else say it like that. So when I explained to him, he's like, that's exactly right. He said, it took me years to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I just lucked on it. I just saw it one day. But
yeah, I like the whole part about that really explains things well when it where he talks about idol worship, right? Thou shalt have no other gods before me, that kind of thing, right? The traditional interpretation of it, and he's basically the way he breaks it down. He says, hey, don't create an idol, right? That you create, and then worship what you just created.
Right.
Right.
Simple.
Just like, if Inky is the guy, is over there, he just creates these humans, and he said, well, I'm not going to worship you. You worship me.
Right. Right. Yeah. Who is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, I'm fascinated by all of it. I really, I think about the Akashic records, like the records of everything that exists in the ether, right, in the universe, that we should all be able to access, right, at will, from what I understand. So, I haven't figured out exactly how to do that efficiently, but I've had some experiences that, kind of indicate like, oh, maybe that's what it is, but I don't know, And I'm always looking for clarity on these things. I mean, I spend, I meditate every day in an effort to better understand the reality of these things, right? And I just want answers. I just want the truth, right, to really resonate. And and I find it that right now I just so much want us to be able to just thrive, and it just feels so here, right? It feels like everything's done, everything's happening. This whole impeachment fiasco is such a joke, Waters World, like he broke it down. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. I mean, he showed how in 2 hours the Republicans picked apart, like whatever it's been now, 6 months, 3 years of BS from the the deep state, and it's true, right?
Well, I don't know. Did you watch what was happening today? To the defense putting up their defense today. Did you watch it with Ken Starr and the others?
Well, I watched sound bites of it. Yeah.
No, I watched it. I mean, not all of it, but I'm on my way. I'm actually listening to it at 1.5 speed, so it's actually it'll take me half the time, not quite half the time, but 25%.
So smart, yeah, so smart, yeah.
Right, and then but this is what they're doing. This is what I said they were going to do. They're going to try the cabal, right? They're going to put the deep state on trial, and that's what they're doing. They started with the House needs to be basically put to task, and that's what they did. They outlined. They said the House is out of line, all right? And then I actually Ken Starr was really good. I mean, I've seen him over the years pop up here and there on the channels and stuff. I didn't really give him that much, but the way he put this today, I said that's good stuff. No,
I saw him. He did a great job. Nancy Pelosi's still making threats. I really find it insulting that she's able to threaten anyone.
Right.
She's like, if they don't put these people up, there's going to be a price to pay. It's like, shut your mouth. Yeah. Like, are you watching the same thing we all are? Like, we all know you're a fraud right now. Like, and anybody who doesn't, honestly, is just held on to like some kind of party loyalty or something. Like, come on, like, give me a break. Like,
my numb robots, that have been programmed one way. They only know how to act one way, and they can't think about because they need programming. So that group is probably a good 13% out there that's locked in place, and but they'll always be there, right? But I mean, beyond that, there's really an overall theme here, really, that's outlining, that they're going after the deep state. Because they're lining it up, it seems like to me, to take on not just Burisma, but they're going to take on all of this stuff. So they're going after Burisma. They were going after that, laying it out, and so Democrats brought it up, right, and opened the door on this, right. So we're gonna tear it apart right now, and they basically said, listen, it's Biden that basically was responsible for corruption. Or anti-corruption, and was the seat of corruption. All right, so, and they're laying it out, and so I think it's very good. So I'm actually enjoying listening to these guys about this. So
no, me too. Actually, what I've seen, I've enjoyed. But I really have a great deal of respect for the patience they've had to do this. Like you can see, like this took a lot of planning, and I don't even know if Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, I don't know if they're not already negotiated some deal going down essentially, because it just doesn't even make sense.
Well, there's only one purpose in this: to delay, because they figure that there's going to be some way they're going to be able to to upset what's going on in the next election cycle and get rid of Trump and put things back the way they were. Otherwise, they all go to jail, if not worse. And that's what this is all about, just them delaying.
They just feel like fourth place at the Olympics. You know what I mean? It's just, this doesn't really have any glory to it. Like, even if they did win, you know, it would just be like, because you somehow gamed the system or bribe, who would believe it? You know, it's like, you would have a complete, I mean, I really think you would actually have an absolute eruption for the first time where Americans would be like, are you kidding me? What is this based on? How are these people allowed to? Matter of fact, the 47, you know, whatever it is, Democratic senators, like, you got to think, like, how can this woman was ready to leave and have you all killed, right? Like, that was, like, she was complicit, you know, to send in a suicide bomber and have, that's the thing I think they might be holding over her head, to be honest, to potentially act this way, you know, where she's still putting on a show, you know, maybe still belligerent, but, like, she's got to know. I mean, she's got to know, like, they got you, right? I mean, how can anyone not? Like, amazing. Waters World was talking. I mean, Waters was talking about, you know, like all these things. He said there were so many things that came out that were we didn't even know. He didn't even know. You know, Fox has been all over this stuff, right?
Right.
But so many aspects to this that have been kept quiet that finally got to kind of hit the media. That even the you know, the cabal media was like, you know, the Democrats nailed it. I mean, and they even said, like, they led with the facts. What are you going to do?
Well, yeah, like, you know, this was the other thing. It's like the first, you know, 2 hours that the Trump's team put out there, right? You know, they completely demolished, you know, everything those previously 3 days, the 21 hours. They demolished it in 2, right? And then that's what the mainstream media is saying. Yeah, they put on a great case. They totally obliterated the Democrat side.
Yeah,
like all this rah for them for 21 hours straight, and then as soon as like 2 hours goes for Trump, it's like, oh, they just really flipped, and they said that it was that they won in the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, who are these guys? I mean, no one can keep them. I mean, after all this, like, it was the best, and you know, he was so spectacular. And he needs an Oscar. No, I threw that in for the acting
it's
job.
Funny. I was here, like, Chuck Schumer got up there sometime after Adam Schiff. He's like, the compelling, amazing speech by Adam Schiff. I mean, I don't know how anyone could not have been moved by that. I'm like, well, we're cheering for humans, so that could be why.
Well, I mean, everyone's moved by it. Very quickly out the door to get away.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, are you serious? I feel like God is going to strike you down with lightning right now. Like, stop talking. Like,
well, that would have been Trump using some kind of space weapon, you know, that caused lightning to hit me.
Right.
It wasn't because of what Schumer was saying, obviously. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't God chucking lightning bolts at Chuck, right? It wasn't chucking lightning bolts at Chuck. Yeah, it sounded good in my head, but
Chuck and lightning bolts at Chuck. Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. Well, it didn't come out the right way, but it you know, now it's there.
Yeah, it sounds up. But, you know, so I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I think it is it's fascinating watching the whole thing right now. It's entertaining. And, you know, I hope Kim found something to give to the research. You know, at the end of the day, what I've stood on and I still believe is the only way to fix this thing is that you have to bring the money into the people, and the people have to have the right to dictate what branches of the government are real that you're going to fund. And I would say the 37 different useless so-called intelligence agencies aren't necessary if everybody's getting the same intelligence now, right? Because that's what the key integrated or the key intelligence military system has done. Everybody has the same stuff now. So, you know, whether you do a background check on me here or in Japan, it should be the same information, right?
Yeah.
So, And that goes across the board. Everybody's getting the same information. So if everybody's getting the same information, why do you need 19 organizations, repeating the same redundant scam to like steal money? That's basically all they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just private organizations that don't really contribute. So you go back to the U.S. Marshals, you go back to the actual, military, you set up an organized militia. There's you see on there the GIA, right? The Global Intelligence Agencies, which basically covered everybody. But I mean, but Kim is the head of the GIA. I mean, that's how everything worked. Was like Marduk was the head of everything, right? So Marduk was the head of the United Nations. So Kim is the head of the United Nations. Marduk was the head of the Global Intelligence Agency. So Kim is the head of the Global Intelligence Agency, right? So it's like she holds those seats, and that's because she holds control of the quantum system. And they worship this. They had a divine plan because they were going to worship Marduk as a god. And Kim has never asked for that once. All she's doing is trying to get people to take ownership for who they are and be their own savior. It's just it's an incredible tragedy of errors. That we continue to sit here and wait. People, not realizing like, someone asked like, who endorsed Kim? Who put her in that position? And I was like, God. God put her in that position because that's where her DNA came from, right? Like, so.
Well, that's like I was telling my friend earlier today, trying to explain it, and he's all everything has to come from the Philippines. Even the one is going to be from a Filipino, right? And that's what he said. He said, "Well, who put her in?" I said, "Her DNA." And I said,
Yeah.
"So how do they choose how they figure that out?" And I said, "Project Looking Glass and facial recognition software."
Well,
so,
I talked to this guy, John Bush, right, who was like, really fascinating, nice guy, like had all these great project ideas, and he was working with Kim for a while. He has like a charter on a bank and stuff, and he tried to help. But he's connected with a bunch of guys, like I think he connects back to Annabon Wright, and so Annabon Wright, I don't know, she said she's cousins with Kim, and she can block things and all this other stuff, right?
Oh yeah,
that was all on a private.
I heard that.
That's all on a private email back and forth.
I heard that from Thomas's show the other day, and I was say that Anna says that she's related to Kim, right?
Right, she did. I mean, and I have the email. Like I got it. I mean, like I know it was back and forth between this gentleman and Anna, but I didn't put it out out of respect to him. But she basically just tries to, Anna wants to be important. She goes, she's like, Kim treats me like I'm some kind of lackey, and I'm like. At the end of the day, it's like she doesn't treat you like a lackey. She showed you the respect to talk to you, but what Anna wants to do is she wants to do things her way. Now, I read off her plan in that, and I don't know if Tom was talking about this, but in her plan, what she described was like, well, everyone would get a stipend, right, to live on. And so basically, she wants to implement communism. And she's like, and then they get a retirement fund that they could play with, and they would get when they retire. It's like, what? I mean, so basically I get to work my ass off for a stipend, and then when I'm too old to really work anymore, then I get to, reap the benefits of the money I was playing with, I guess. I mean, that to me is like, look, I don't need another communist plan to make everybody equal, right? One of the best things that Kevin ever brought us, right? He said the original Constitution, the way it read, was all men are created free. Independent and free. That's what it's supposed to say, not equal. All men are not created equal, because equal means the same.
Right.
And we're not all the same. Now we all have the same rights. We have lots of things we have that are similar.
We have the same.
But,
we all are equal in our pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit
yeah.
of happiness. That's what we're equal in, but not in our abilities to do with it as we see fit. We can decide just not to do anything and live on a beach. Great, wonderful.
I mean, and say equal just means like, okay, we're all the same. So they try to justify treating us all exactly the same, right? So now you pick up a supplement, right, and it says take 2 in the morning and 2 before you go to bed. Well, is that the same for a 115-pound woman who's 5'2" and a 6'5", 300-pound guy? How could it possibly be? Right? They have different needs. because they're not created the same. We're different, right? Everybody, so you have to treat everybody like everybody's free and independent, and you know what? And they're going to express themselves in different ways, and they're unique and individual and amazing. Why don't we encourage and let them be that, right? And some people aren't going to want that much money. They say it all the time, right? Like, oh, I don't need much. They always say that. You'll notice those words never come out of my mouth. That kind of that false humility. I never say that. Hell no.
No, I'm. Listen, my relationship to money has always been it's a tool and it's there when I need it, right? For the most part. The ability to use the money is going to be different for different people. That's why in the GCR realm, said this is never going to work out. I mean, most of the people have no idea what to do with money. They've never had a lot of money. They never built a business. And one thing that I did add to my repertoire when I try to relate this, to people is I guess said this today, is that when you have all the money and you're like the million people that have all the money from the GCR, and you start causing all the prices of everything to go up, you're going to be trying to, well, I got to make businesses for people to, do well. So I'm going to make these agreements with everybody, right? And what's going to happen is they're going to be like attached onto by a bunch of leeches, right? And they're going to take their money, and then they're going to feel like they've been ripped off. And it's going to happen again and again and again and again. And then they're going to stop wanting to make deals with people. And they're going to now feel like, well, I got to protect this now for future generations. But now they're not. Now they're bearing their talents, right?
Right, exactly. Well, and then on top of that, it's like what people never consider is like, okay, well, if GCR is real, do you think that you got the head start on it, and yet the billionaires, they don't know about it? And if you had $1 billion, couldn't you buy a ton more currency than I could? So even if I had, like a pallet of, 100 T-notes resin, right? I was about to be a billionaire. Wouldn't it stand to reason that the guy who had $1 billion probably knew that too, and he probably bought a lot more than I did, and he'd be even richer? So would I really advance myself in society, or would I just be in his shadow still, right? And then when I go to buy things, right, because we weren't thinking like we were going to build everything from scratch, which is our plan now. Right? We're going to build everything back up from scratch and eliminate them from the production line because they won't do business in that way. They've proven it over and over again. But we wouldn't have done that with the GCR. So what we would have done, I need to buy machine parts, whatever, and we wouldn't have cared about money, right? We wouldn't have cared how much it cost. We have so much of it. So we would have overpaid and made them richer, buying more. So nothing really would have changed with GCR. And that's the thing that nobody ever really talked about. Yeah. It's like nothing changes, right? If it was just that simple, but in reality, it would have been such a massive amount of money just dropping into the system, everything would flash.
Well, it would have been the new scapegoats, right? They would have been the new scapegoats for, hey, it's these rich people that are the bad ones. Let's get them. Right. Get your pitchfork. Right. We're going on a hike.
Well, let's face it. They would have called people into the exchange centers. They would have been seeing the camps, and they would have taken the 30,000 guillotines, and you would have found out that they were delivered to the exchange centers. And you would have met them personally, right? That's what really would have happened. So, I don't know.
Well, then they can't be the scapegoats. For one of the stories is correct, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I'm pretty sure that's right, though. Yeah. But long story short, it's like we were just at an impasse. Right now, like to me, I'm like, I feel like we're watching the most ridiculous, loss in history, right? And they're still pretending like they're winning, and it's like the score is like 100-0, and they just keep doing the same thing.
Right.
It's like you guys were the best forever. Like you guys were the best, right? But you're not anymore. You're just not.
Right.
It's like we all caught on. We see right through you, But it is what it is. So.
Yeah.
But I got another meeting. I got to jump to, Dan. Anything else important before I get off?
Not really. But I would just say that I think that we're going to see some interesting things. That I don't know whether we're going to see witnesses. right? I think if we see witnesses, it's really about trying the deep state. I think that's where it's going. And it's all obvious from today, from what way they're lining everything up. They're not talking about Trump.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, do you think it's significant, if Trump, like when Trump gets acquitted, do you think that would set off any trigger of like serious issues at all? Because think about it, he was already exonerated from the Mueller probe, right? And now they go after him for this.
Well, the Mueller the Mueller probe is now invalid because of the FISAs were invalid. That means that was invalid. Everything that came after that, everything that they're accusing Michael Flynn of, also, boom, it's out. So everything starts flipping around at that point, and they can literally take people down. And I think we're going to start seeing that. I think they're going to start arresting people. They have already arrested people, but they're just going to arrest more. Carter Page was the linchpin, right? And now they proved that is not valid, and we're going to start seeing now things start heading the other direction. That's the way I see it. Now the question is, how long is this trial going to go on for? Like to the end of the week, or until the election? It's it can happen anywhere in between. But it can, if it's long, I think we're going to be trying the deep state along the way, and the Democrats are going to be begging to end it.
It's interesting. I'm thinking about this, right? Like, I was listening to the Kim Clement prophecy, which, I was never a big Kim Clement fan, but then I was like, there's something to this, right? Like, he was moved by whatever. And I was listening to him again, and he was talking about it's going to be something that no one could ever imagine or seen before, right? And I do feel like, what everybody who kind of talks about these big events that are going to happen, or I'm always like, I always feel like every day is kind of a big event, if you just approach your life the right way, right? So I'm always like, I don't hold out for one day this will happen, right? Ever. But I gotta say, this does have a build-up kind of a feel, doesn't it? Like that you're going to see something that's going to be unprecedented, that would just, sweep the legs out from the whole deep state and just be like, now what? Because I do feel like you really have just cause, don't you? Adam Schiff is, like, they know for a fact he lied deliberately.
Well, they were charged. Well, that's what they were doing. They were trying the House of Representatives. They were trying Adam Schiff. They were trying Nadler. They were trying Nancy Pelosi. They were trying the Bidens. That's what they've been doing today. They weren't exonerating Trump. They weren't providing evidence. Really. Some things, but the direction was always back towards, look at what the Democrats are doing. Look at what they did. So
right.
I think that's where they're headed with this, is to try the deep state in this way, and that's why I think that the heat is continuing to be turned up on the frog in the pot, right? And they just they're finding a little squirmy right now, and they're going to be trying to get out of that pot, but the Republicans are going to just say, well, we got the next witness. Oh, you want another witness? Sure. Who do you want? Bolton doesn't matter what he says, right? It really doesn't. So he brings them out, and even if Trump waives his executive privilege, and I don't think he should, right? But but they can keep bringing out about the witnesses. Oh, they also went way down. They really explained executive privilege in this as well. Really just said, listen, this is for the sake of the republic. This is really what it comes down to. What the Democrats did here is anti-constitutional. It's very it cannot stand. And so they're going after.
I actually think this. I think they're doing this right because this is the actual impeachment. So everything else they did, the sham of the FISA courts and Mueller, all that, it means nothing because it's all sham. Then even the way they did it, it's anti-constitutional what they did because
Well,
they didn't they subpoenaed witnesses, and they didn't go through the proper procedures for the House, right?
right,
Because they're supposed to have a full House vote, and they never did.
right.
So they did everything shady, right? All of that. It's conspiracy to I don't know, to to commit fraud against the American people, against the American president, right? They also denied the president due process.
Right.
These are real felonies. I mean, these are real crimes. Now, so what I think they've done is they've actually displayed that, demonstrated the evidence, shown how it's true, and even the things they said they've tried to accuse Trump of, they showed today like that couldn't even have been true. It wasn't even possible.
Here's
Right.
here's another here's another thing that they made a point to say. In the House of Representatives, none of them are under oath. They can say whatever they want. They can lie and misrepresent and do all of that. But here in the Senate, they're under oath.
Yeah.
So now they're under oath and they're laying out all of this garbage.
Yeah.
Right? So can they now be held responsible since they're now under oath for everything they've done?
Well, I think they're going to try. I think they're going to acquit the president, and then I think they're going to bring criminal charges against him.
I think so.
Think about it. It's the basis for everything, right?
Yeah.
You've got it all out there. So they've given enough to sway public opinion, and now that even the broken polls, right, that have are always biased, even those polls are saying they don't want to impeach Trump, President Trump. So I think they needed to do that. They needed to sway that energy, and now they're gonna take a step further and say now we're gonna extend. Because Giuliani said, I mean, you could see it in his face. He wasn't talking about money, and I'm certain of it. Because he was like, honestly, some of these things are shocking, right? He knows that no American is going to be shocked to find out that they were stealing money. So when he says shocking, he's talking about the pedophile rings, human trafficking. He's talking about stuff like that, and I think that's what he's holding. Because he was given a bunch of evidence. And I believe, to be honest, the evidence he was given is what Kim put out in 2018. And she showered every government, every media outlet, all these places with just buckets of evidence that they had. And most of them that were corrupt were terrified. But it only takes one of them to release that evidence to somebody like Rudy Giuliani, right? And now he's sitting on this stack of evidence, right, against Biden's and everything else. That's from Kim, which means it's all registered information, it's account information. It will show what they were doing, and then that would actually give just cause to start running audits on all types of government activity to show how they're trafficking. Because, in New York State, from what I heard today from someone, is that it looks like 31% of all the trafficking that's happening is coming out of New York through the Child Protective Services here, which I didn't know that.
Wow.
So and there's a bunch of things like that, though, right? That you can imagine what else is here, because there's a lot of dirt on Cuomo. I mean, Cuomo's a gangster, So it's like, I really feel like it's time for that to come out and shut that all down, and do it. And I really think it has to. To me at this point, like there's been this big effort, right, and big discussion about this for years about, you don't want to bring this all out at once. It'll just be too shocking and disrupt society. You need to disrupt society. It's not even society. Right. I mean, it's a train wreck, right? It's like wake people up and let them know, like, hey, the train's underwater right now. We need to get out.
Yeah, I think also the this aspect of what they're doing to be so outlandish, denying people rights and everything. This is just tipping their hand as to how that they would govern under a one party rule, right? This is what they would do, right? This is communism. That's what they want, right? No due process. They say you prove your innocence, which is an impossible thing to do. right? This is the same technique that they had for witches when they would put them on a dunking platform, right? And if they drowned, oh, she wasn't a witch. But if she survived, then she was a witch, and then they'd hang her and burn her. So
that is a perfect example, right? It's like, oh, it turns out she wasn't a witch. Guess we were wrong. Oh well, yeah. But now she's dead, right?
Yeah. So that's same thing. So we were. I had another thought I wanted to bring up was that this idea of being equal and everything like that. If you look in the hive type of systems, like we look at the beehives or the ant hives, right?
Yeah.
There's a brand, a type of different ant or a type of different bee, right? But besides that, they're all equal. Right?
Yep.
Right? So all the worker bees, all the worker ants are all exactly the same. And they just take direction, right? So, you have the warrior ants and the warrior bees, I guess, and then you've got, these different categories, different job titles, right? Besides that, they're all the same, right? So I think that's the same. Even if you go back into the futuristic, hey, here's the Borg. It doesn't matter what they absorbed, what culture that was, what it was before, it doesn't matter. They were absorbed, and now they just do the one thing, and they all act identically, even though some have different job titles, except for the queen.
Right. Because I realize it's this in their world. If they want, like the Borg, right? They want a more perfect being, right? And in their world, a perfect being is very efficient, very logical. It's very mental, right? And it takes away everything that's beautiful about humanity, right? All the intangible attributes, all the perfect imperfections about being human. And that is the part that is where all creativity stems. All real works of art and the brilliant curves and edges and a magnificent sculpture and just the ability to appreciate the human form. Because everything they're even trying to make people androgynous, box shaped. So
I don't know about that one. What's that?
Think about it. They've got this whole movement to basically create all these transhuman beings.
Okay.
So they're trying to do away, so you can see it like in all the models, right? Like you don't see feminine models much, right? They have like little boy, prepubescent boy shapes, right? Things like that. And they want this androgynous being to be normal because they're asexual, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they do sex changes when they're young and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Inhibitions.
It still continues. Like every single new show that's coming out there, it's always flipping the roles on everybody, male and female. It's like I don't know what needs to be done about all this, to stop all this madness. It's like I've heard that there's been some protests from actors, right, who are tired of getting beat up. These big men tired of being beat up by these 100-pound women. And thrown across the room by a 100-pound woman, when you're like 230.
I will never forgive them for what they did to Thor in the last.
Oh, I know. I mean, yeah, it's like I feel the same. I feel, the Captain Marvel, part. I didn't know the story was a guy, and and they flipped it. And I thought the original, the story of she comes from an AI planet, right? That she's kind of like now rogue against the AI planet. And I said, oh, that's an interesting thing. But now I didn't realize that they flipped the male and female on Captain Marvelous or whatever, Captain Marvel. So
tragic.
Anyways, yeah, you gotta get going. Sorry to keep you longer.
No. I love talking to you, Dan. It's fine. I appreciate it. All right, man. Hey, you have a good night. Appreciate you as always. Everybody out there, peace out from New York, and
All right.
hope we have some good news tomorrow.
All right. Hey, get back with me on that question I asked you about Japan and Russia.
I will. Yeah, I'll let you know what you said. All right, later, man.
Bye. Okay, everybody. Well, we got a little bit more details for today, but let's wrap this up. Please subscribe, here on YouTube. Subscribe here on the website, wwg1wga.love. Go ahead and register there. There's a free membership, and then it's $1.11 a month, $8.80 a month, $8.88 a month, $9.99 a year. Whatever you'd like to contribute is fine, and it helps. It does help. So appreciate everything you've done so far, and we just keep going at it. Oh, and I forgot to tell Tank something. Our anniversary is coming up on the 9th of February. That was our first video. And then we did another one around, I think it was the 19th of February. And then after that, we started with the roll. And that was even a couple days after that. So we had 2 videos we did before we started the non-stop. So anyway, I made a playlist. It's up on my YouTube channel, so you can take a look at it. It has 4 videos. It's the first 4 videos put in order, so you can go back and look at that and see what's at. And interesting. Some of the conversation we had back then, and I was listening to them yesterday. So anyway, I appreciate everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.